Greetings from Florence, Italy, not only the heart of Renaissance, humanism, art, and indeed caring for children, but also the home of the UNICEF Office of Research, Innocenti. This is where the inaugural Leading Minds Conference 2019 will take place. And this year we're teaming up with the World Health Organization, focusing on mental health of children and young people. With me here are two such leading minds, UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore and Dr. Vikram Patel. Welcome to you both, welcome to Florence. If I may start with you first, Henrietta Fore. This is a new step for UNICEF, convening around thought leadership with such a rich and diverse mix of the young, the knowledgeable, practitioners, and indeed the powerful. Why now? Why here? Why on mental health?
Well, thank you, Sarah. Well, this is a very important time in the world. Young people are talking now about mental health in a way that they never have been. So 30 years ago, when we had the Convention on the Rights of the Child, it was a different world. There was no World Wide Web. The Berlin Wall was coming down and apartheid was just standing. So it is a time when young people are talking about, they're concerned about each other's mental health. So here at Innocenti, we have a research institute for UNICEF, and it's a time to bring together all of the leading minds of the world, like Dr. Patel, to really think what we can do to help the science, the advocacy, and the experience of young people.
Dr. Patel, you said that global mental health and children's mental health is something of the orphan of the health world. Why is that? And are you starting to see that things are changing? Are you hopeful?
Well, I think it is true to say that mental health has been the most neglected area in global health. You can just simply look at the investments that governments make in mental health care, or indeed the development assistance that is given for mental health, and draw your own conclusions. It's less than 1% in either case. And within the mental health spending, less than 1% is on children and young people, which is staggering when you think that children and young people account for about 40% of the world's population. The reasons that I see for that is because this is an area that we have understood very little. Much of the focus on mental health has been on adult mental disorders, and we know that mental health problems in young people don't fit neatly into these sorts of biomedical categories. And yes, I do see change. And the best example of that is standing here with Henrietta Fore and seeing a major UN agency such as UNICEF convening this particular meeting.
And of course, we're also convening, UNICEF is convening together with the World Health Organization, and thanks to the Italian government for their support. So what are you seeing in terms of investment? What are you hoping that will be the outcome with private sector, with foundations? Where are you targeting?
Well, we're really targeting all of them because we're going to do this as a whole. You know, as young people are grappling with these issues, most of the issues start when you're young. So most of the problems are by the time you're age 14. So it means we need more science. It means we need more understanding of what the practitioners are seeing in the field. We need to hear more from the young people themselves. And you see some of the country programs, to Dr. Patel's point, whether it's in Kazakhstan or other countries, where they're starting to deal with it with some options that really can be scaled up. We're hoping that local host country governments will take this on. We're hoping the big foundations will do so. But we need science, we need knowledge of practices, and we need advocacy. We need to stand up a movement for mental health, and we want all of those players.
And particularly the young.
And particularly the young, because they're going through it and they can tell us what's happening to them. It's a different world now with the internet. There's a lot of bullying that is not in person, it's on their cell phones, but there's also a lot in the schoolyards, there's a lot in the communities, and there's a lot at home. So they're experiencing violence, and you cannot see it always in them. So we have to hear from the young.
And Dr. Patel, the low and middle income countries of the world really seem to be experiencing a disproportionate number of children with mental health and adolescents with mental health issues. Why is that?
And I'm not sure we can say that the proportion is any greater in low and middle income countries. It's just an absolute number of children and young people who are obviously living in low and middle income countries, maybe about 80 to 90%. of the global population. So it's an important region for us to be focusing on because just simply the large numbers of children and young people who live there. There are certain contexts, for example, those areas which are affected by conflict, those areas which are affected by enormous degrees of social deprivation. In those populations, you would see a higher burden of mental health problems. But this is true also in high-income countries.
And are you hopeful for the conference?
I'm extremely hopeful, and it's really because of the way that this conference has been curated. It's the word mix which is extremely important. Young people's mental health cannot be seen from a single prism. It has to involve multiple sectors, and this particular event involves multiple sectors. But of course, the second key issue that Henrietta mentioned, and I want to second, is the central role of young people's voice and agency in talking about, in designing, in delivering, and holding mental health care accountable.
So next steps, it's not just about the conference, of course. What would you like to see this time next year?
I would like to see us have a major step forward in the science. I would like for us to have heard from thousands upon thousands of young people in their experiences, and I would like us to have gathered some more leading minds who are thinking about and looking at these issues so that we can come forward with some practical solutions that we can help to fund research that we need to be doing so that every one of us can set to work on this so that 30 years from now, we will have conquered many of these issues for the young of the world.
And not only 30 years from now, but this time next year, the focus of the State of the World's Children, UNICEF's flagship report for 2020, will be on mental health. So that's it from us here in Florence, but it's not the end for mental health for children and young people. Watch this space.